Hello and welcome to week one of BID 515 Technology for Managers here at Midland University on the topic of technology's role in business today. In today's business environment, we are very much in an information sharing age. We're very much competing in the information sharing age as well, where there's large amounts of information and data at our disposal to help us make strategic business decisions. Before we get into the types of data that exist and how they're managed, let's first talk about the evolution of technology. First, it all started with the Internet of Things, or IoT. This is defined as a world where interconnected, internet enabled devices or things have the ability to collect and share data without human intervention. The internet has allowed us to assimilate information, share it in a very fast paced environment, in a very real time environment, where prior to that, we were waiting on telegrams or letters in the mail to come through to share pertinent information, or even a phone call. The internet has allowed us to have a foundation of technology to truly operate in a timely fashion. Then, as we got more mature in technology, we got to machine, M to M. This refers to devices that connect directly to other devices. And this allowed us to have the ability to share files, share data, and do things in a much more rapid pace. A lot of this taking place in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And today's environment, though, in competing in the information age, one of the core drivers of information is that we must have it at our disposal at the right time in the right place to make the right decision. And it first starts with the data. And we'll talk more about data here in a moment. From data, though, it comes into the actual information that we're getting from the data. So the data must be pure, it must be correct, and must be sourced correctly for us to get the right information to the right stakeholders at the right time. From that information, though, we should be able to analyze it for patterns in the business or new business opportunities. This is where business intelligence and analytics come in. And ultimately, what we're doing is we're building a stronger knowledge base in our organizations. The better we are at gathering data to collect the right information, to analyze it, the better we're going to have knowledge about our business, our customers, and market opportunities. So, data. At its core, data is defined as raw facts that describe the characteristics of an event or object. It could be anything from a record of transactions, sales, finance, customer data, market data, etc. But in the world we live in today is this term of big data. It's a collection of large, complex data sets which cannot be analyzed using traditional database methods or tools. Because there are so many sources of data, both internal and external, big data needs to be absorbed and able to be assimilated in information sharing amongst technology to ensure it provides the right impact to the organization. Big data comes into these four V's: variety, veracity, volume, and velocity. The variety is that there are different forms of structured and unstructured data. Now, in a moment, we will talk about what unstructured versus unstructured data means. Veracity is that there's uncertainty of the data, including biases, noise, and abnormalities. At times, we get data, especially external data, that may not have any value to us as a decision maker or has some disparity on exactly what it means to us versus other forms of data. Volume is the sheer scale of the data, the amount of data, the amount of storage we need, and just the capabilities to really understand the volume that we need for a certain set of information sharing. And lastly, velocity. In today's environment, the analysis of streaming data as it travels around the internet is vast. We get real time information on a regular basis, so we have to have the capability to manage this velocity in order to get it to the right stakeholders at the right time for information sharing and decision making. So data from a structured perspective is very much a clean, defined set of data that you can use for your system sharing. It has a defined length, type, and format and includes numbers, dates, or strings. For example, such as a customer address format. In this format, we want the address a certain way, where we use either the acronym for the state or we have the full spelling of the state. Whatever we decide, that's our structured data, as an example. Machine-generated data is created by a machine without human intervention. This is, for an example, transactional records. Let's say you manage an e-commerce website. Well, when an order is placed, it triggers a new order ID, transaction ID, and then sends it across multiple systems: customer service, order management system to ship the product, etc. These are machine generated a lot of the time based on operational and or procedural type systems, but can also happen in other areas. Human generated data are the data entry points where there's manual data that has to be submitted. And this could be an example of someone actually submitting manual data from a survey taking place, or data sets from, information that isn't readily available from system to system. It's human generated and at times is very much needed on a case by case basis, depending on the level of information needing to be shared. So data from an unstructured perspective versus structured. Unstructured data is not defined. It does not follow a specific format, and also is typically free form text. This could be emails, Twitter tweets, text messages, etc. As you see in the diagram on the right, you have structured data versus unstructured data. Structured data is a very formatted tabular form where it's clean, the fields are exactly the way it's needed, the right character links, etc. But in the world we live in, the big data, though, you are going to get unstructured data where it's going to come in different forms and different templates. And it's up to us to figure out, do we want to map that? Do we want to organize it and get it as structured as possible? Well, you can still get unstructured data from both machine generated and human generated. Machine generated can do that as an example, satellite images, scientific atmospheric data, and radar data, because it's coming in from different locations, regionalities, etc. as an example. Human generated are things such as text messages, social media, and emails. For example, if we're looking to gather a bunch of data from insights from a customer survey, well, if we have free form, open ended questions, we're going to get varying responses and it's unstructured at that point. Unless we make a survey yes or no and collect data in the yes or no fashion that quantify it, here, if we have free form text, you're going to get unstructured data that you're going to have to absorb and figure out a way to consolidate it in information sharing. Once we understand the data and how to absorb it and get the right information, then we can use that data for business intelligence, which is a set of analytics that we use to drive insights for effective business decision making. The first type is called descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics are usually based on past performance and history. It's a point in time. An example is creating a report that includes charts and graphs that explain data for what has happened in the past. It gives us a good up to the moment occurrence of what is taking place. Taking it a step further, though, is diagnostic analytics. It doesn't just tell us what happened, it also helps explain why it happened. But we want to go further than that. We understand why is great, but if we want to actually do something from a futuristic, proactive perspective, getting to predictive and prescriptive analytics is really the advanced business intelligence we seek in businesses today. Predictive analytics are techniques that extract information from data to predict future trends and identify behavioral patterns. What this means is, as an example, we can use past sales data to predict what is most likely to happen in future sales based off trends, seasonality, or other dynamics in the data set. So it gives us a significant level or a statistical level of what could occur. Now, prescriptive analytics is one step further on what should occur. It gives us a more precise, almost decision for us on what course of action or decision we should make. It has a higher certainty of confidence on what is going to occur and therefore gives us a recommendation on which course of action to take. But to get to this element of business intelligence and all these different levels of analytics, we truly need to understand our data first, how to absorb it, and how to make sense of it for analytics. Another area where IT and technology partners come with business is at the intersection of systems thinking and managing information systems. In the world we live in any department in business, from accounting, finance, human resources, marketing, operations, and sales, we have our own data that we need to manage and pieces of information that really matter to only us at times. But what ends up happening in some organizations is this thing called data silo, or working in silos. It occurs when one business unit is unable to freely communicate with another business unit, making it difficult and almost impossible for organizations to work cross-functionally. But in today's business environment, because of technology, we are very cross-functional. There's information that we need to share amongst our different departments. And sometimes it's not because we don't want to share it, it's because we don't have the infrastructure and information system support to allow that information to be shared. But if we build it correctly, we can unify our information in a central location to allow it to be absorbed and used by our different stakeholders. The method to bring all departments together in business is the MIS solution, or Management Information System solution, with the term data democratization. This is the ability for data to be collected, analyzed, and accessible to all users. what we're able to do here is unify all the key pieces of data that need to be shared amongst departments. Now, this doesn't mean that every piece of data in every business department is shared, such as, for example, HR will not provide all personal identifiable information to other departments unless it's necessary. Therefore, a data governance, stakeholder oversight, and steering committee is still needed to understand what data is needed amongst different stakeholders and departments, and having the technology infrastructure to share it in real time, and the information is readily available to support different business processes and strategies. Thank you so much for your time here in Module 1.